hypothetical virus 20 times deadlier than COVID-19. Addressing a global pandemic is also something that a next U.S. president might face. But what exactly is a disease X? According to the World Health Organization, disease X represents the knowledge that a serious international epidemic could be caused by an unknown pathogen. Let's bring in Dr. Amish Adalja. He is a senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. Thanks so much for being with us. COVID-19 has killed almost 7 million people worldwide. What would a virus 20 times deadlier be like? And is that a possibility that we could see in our lifetime?
It's definitely a possibility, because if you look at COVID-19 and compare it, for example, to the 1918 influenza pandemic, you can see that it is magnitudes less deadly than 1918. And there are strains of viruses that have very high mortality rates that could develop the ability to transmit efficiently from human to human. If we did so poorly with something like COVID-19, you can imagine how poorly we would do with something like a 1918 level event.
Do we know, maybe this is one of the things they're trying to work out, but where a pathogen like that could originate from as these world leaders think about how to combat such a thing?
Likely these types of pathogens are going to be respiratory viruses, and they may be viruses that are circulating in certain animal species but are not able to transmit yet efficiently between humans. So that could be in bats, like COVID-19, could be in birds, like bird flu, or could be some other type of animal species, swine, for example. And it's really about that interface between humans and animals where interactions are occurring that these types of viruses get a foothold. Most of them will die out, but what we worry about is one that can spread efficiently the way 1918 did.
So what kinds of preparations might they be talking about? And are there certain roadblocks that we learned about COVID-19 that just need to be cleared in terms of, I guess, within individual countries, but then also cooperation across countries? What kinds of topics do you think they're talking about as they discuss Disease X?
The whole idea of Disease X is about being proactive, to look at the myriad types of viruses that can infect humans and kind of narrow in on certain viral families that are most likely to harbor a pandemic pathogen. Start working in those families, even if we don't know which member of those families, or even if it's an unknown member of those families, might cause it, the next pandemic or epidemic. So that means thinking about what do you need to do to make a vaccine? What are the antiviral targets? What type of diagnostic tests do you need to have in place? Should we be doing wastewater monitoring? All of those types of questions are being contemplated in the effort to be proactive. What we learned from COVID-19 is that there are obstacles. We have regulatory and bureaucratic obstacles, and we also have this lack of transparency. For example, in the early days of COVID, it was clear in China that this was spreading efficiently from person to person, yet that wasn't the official line from China for some time, and the world was caught flat-footed. So I think there are many roadblocks, many problems from COVID-19 that we can't afford to repeat again with the next pandemic when it occurs.
And would you include, when you say transparency, are you also including just misinformation or the inability of information to reach a trust level with certain populations that allows people to act on it or at least get a message out in the public health sphere?
Definitely. I think that what we see now is this distrust between infectious disease physicians, public health practitioners, and the general public. Because what happened is politicians injected themselves into this. Then it kind of got filtered through on that tribal lens that politics often brings to an issue. And that's something that we're already seeing problems with. For example, with measles outbreaks in Philadelphia that are fueled by anti-vaccine sentiment. So yes, that is part of it. That people may not actually be receptive to the protective actions that are being recommended by public health officials.
like this Kabbalism stuff doesn't even work.
Oh yeah, they're sort of letting you know they're practicing Jewish Kabbalism. Jewish Kabbalism is a system of sorcery and medieval witchcraft that is that Albert Pike, former sovereign grand commander, actually admitted was the very basis, the core of the Masonic rituals.
And then he called for the Holy Masonic Empire.
Yeah, that is the royal secret, he said, that we are going to set up an empire on Earth. Now we have the X-Files, but right before that, you had Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was giving a speech, wasn't he?
Yeah, and there was an anomalous X that kept showing up over him.
Yeah, see it then. Here's giving a speech talking about trying to justify the Iraq War. This was just a week or two ago, and this X shows up. Well, does it mean he's going to be X'd out? That would mean, you're going to be killed. But it's interesting that somebody, maybe knowingly, put that X there. Yeah. Maybe they were identifying him. And by the way, he absolutely, his own office admits that he is a 33rd degree Freemason.
They know.
Yeah.
They know.